Welcome to Turn Into Podcast. I'm Gina Baruch. Join me in my journey and discover how women's stories are woven into our lives, reflecting the beautiful tapestry of human experience. Welcome, listeners, to Tucson, Arizona, where the sun is always on full blast and the American dream is alive and well. Sort of. I was moving in with my auntie Lucero, her husband, and my three cousins, Victoria, Adalberto, and Beatriz. This family wasn't just living the American dream. They basically wrote the book on it. My aunt and uncle came here young, crossing the river with nothing but hope and a whole lot of grit. They took every job no one else wanted, the kind of jobs that make you feel like human rumble. But they never gave up. Years of back-breaking work and perseverance finally paid off. They got their green cards, which was like getting the keys to the kingdom. Suddenly, they had credit. My aunt opened a children's daycare, and my uncle started his own construction business. Now that they were living the high life in a nice house in the Mexican neighborhood, driving a brand new Ford Explorer with fancy leather seats. But here's where the story takes a turn you won't see coming. After all that, after all the struggles and years of hard work, my aunt would be a hardcore supporter of Bush. I mean, the irony is so thick you could use it to build a wall. Even though I am grateful that they received me in their home. Alright, so I was finally in Tucson, which for me was like Sonora with the thermostat cranked up. It was this weird hybrid of Mexican and American culture. A place where you could get a killer taco while a mariachi band covered a country song. Compared to my tiny hometown, where you could walk everywhere and know everyone's business, Tucson felt like a full-blown metropolis. New York City, but with more cactus and fewer angry taxi drivers. My dad, in a moment of parental compromise, had let me go with one major condition. I had to study English. So my aunt enrolled me in free English classes offered by the government. The class was a real melting pot, but mostly of Latin immigrant women. Half the class were older moms, the kind who brought their own Tupperware of snacks, and the other half was young women whose life mission was to bag an American husband. The classes themselves were, well, let's just say they were no stand-up comedy specials. The real show was after class, during the socializing. I only made one genuine friend. The other connections were mostly superficial. We were all on different planets, and I never really found my tribe there. I just sat there, a kid in a woman's world, learning English and watching the American dream unfold, one boring grammar lesson at a time. Victoria, my cousin, was a striking figure, tall with a short haircut, a long torso, and a smile full of perfect teeth. Even though we were only 3 years apart, she looked older than me. As the oldest child, she carried the weight of her mother's expectations, and quickly I developed a soft spot for her. One day she hit me with the question that would reveal just how different our worlds were. "What group do you belong to?" she asked. My face must have been a picture of total confusion. "What do you mean? I was in the B class. Is that what you're asking for?" She laughed. "No, silly. I mean the subcultures. You know, the punks, the rockers, the darks, the rappers, the cheerleaders." My mind was officially blown. "Oh," I exclaimed. I listen to everything. I like rock, but I also like pop and folk. She looked at me. I had just said the most ridiculous thing. You have to choose one, she said, with the seriousness of a high-stakes decision. I'm punk, she said. What's that? I asked. She launched into passionate explanation. We listened to bands like My Chemical Romance, the Ramones, and the Sex Pistols, and we wore leather jackets, ripped jeans, and chains. Oh, I exclaimed, my brain trying to process this new information. The funny part was, for all her talk of DIY punk style, I never once saw her with a needle and thread. Instead, we spent most of our time and our limited money at the mall and fighting for bargains at Ross. I guess in America, even rebellion has to be bought on sale. This American high school system was a total shock for me. In my own Mexican high school, the social hierarchy was pretty simple. You either had money or you didn't. But here, with my cousin, it was a whole new world. It took me a while to understand the Chicano teenagers' desperate quest for identity. That I stuck in the weird limbo, not fully Mexican, but not fully American either. Because they don't have a defined identity, they look for one in these subcultures. It's like they are trying to choose a team in a game they never asked to play. And all the media doesn't make it any easier. The movies, magazines, and MTV shows show these rigid archetypes down their throats, creating all these expectations about how you should look, dress, and act. It's like a high-stakes real version of Mean Girls movie, but with more pressure and a lot less Lindsay Lohan. My cousin Victoria introduced me to Liz and Pam, two Mexican-American sisters from her high school who were both pretty amazing, but in completely different ways. Pam looked like a Russian model, tall and slender with pale skin and high cheekbones. Liz, on the other hand, was shorter, with sharp curves, tan skin, and striking olive eyes. Their family had moved to the US when the girls were babies and never looked back. After their father passed away, their mom remarried an authoritarian man. The whole family had green cards except for Pam. I still remember how terrified she was of being deported. She refused to speak Spanish in public. Because of her situation, she was easily the most mature of the four of us. They were also into rock punk music, so pretty soon I was listening to KAFM radio station, and our weekends were filled with rock concerts like Jimmy Eat the World, Breaking Benjamin, and other rock bands. Oh yeah, the good old days of our downtown adventures. I love remembering our trips. None of us had a car, so it was a solid hour-long bus ride, including a transfer, just to get there. Once we arrived, we would start at the top of the North 4th Avenue and make our way down, doing some serious window shopping at all the vintage thrift stores. My favorite store was Hot Topic. You could find the most psychedelic boots there and all sorts of vintage dresses. Victoria and I were obsessed with cherries. One day I found this amazing black cherry dress with crinoline under the skirt, and she got these killer black cherry sunglasses. If our limited budget allowed, we will always end the day with a trip to Wendy's for burgers and ice cream. Then we would try to catch the last bus home. One night we missed it and had to walk all the way back. As the rain poured down on us, we sang at the top of our lungs. 24 hours to go. I wanna be sedated. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. I wanna be sedated. It was a long, sucked, but very happy walk home. My sexual awakening came late. like really late. While all my friends were losing their virginity at 15, I was full 6 years behind. So there I was at 18, tagging along with my cousin and their friends. My first party, it completely freaked me out. Most of us were under 21, and everyone was getting high and drinking, but I quickly got the hang of it. Soon, we were a foursome of girls diving headfirst into the great game of party seduction. I, of course, had no idea what I was doing. We were just four girls pretending to be women, stumbling our way through the awkward dance of flirting, with no real-world experience to guide us. It was a hilarious disaster, but at least we were a team. You want to hear something ridiculous? My first kiss. I honestly thought I was pregnant. How's that for a complete lack of sex education? My mom and sisters never talked to me about any of it, and the internet wasn't as accessible like now. Today, you can find Pussypedia.net, a detailed 3D vagina, along with a comprehensive list of frequently asked questions that clarify common misconceptions and misinformation about its anatomy and function. Unfortunately, I learned by trial and error. So here I was, terrified, but at the same time experiencing. I set my own rules. I allowed myself to have physical contact, but never let anyone be inside of me. I just couldn't understand why people were so obsessed with sex. I mean, I had fun, but it was never that wow moment everyone talked about. It took me many years later, an incredible patient French boyfriend, to show me the way. He was the one who finally taught me what an orgasm was. Turns out, I just needed someone who spoke the language of love and pleasure, not just the language of fear. One day, I read that in an African tribe, when a girl turns into a woman, all the women of the tribe gather together in a circle, teaching the girl to reach her orgasm as part of her initiation. What a different perspective from the one I was raised in. And suddenly, it all made sense. Why do people get so addicted to sex? That is, my early experiences were a bust, but then I read The Kabbalah of Sex by Yehuda Berg. According to this book, sex is the most powerful way to experience the light of the Creator and to transform the world. He writes that during passionate lovemaking, the earth moves beneath you and spiritual worlds tremble about you. It's like tossing a small stone into a deep lake, and the ripples radiate out through the cosmos. It's some seriously deep stuff, and the book explains the science behind it really well. The only part I take issue with is the belief that sex is only for procreation. It's one of those things where I just have a hunch a man wrote it. If a guy had to spend most of his life giving birth like a rabbit, I don't think he will have the energy to both enjoy sex and write the Kabbalah. I guess that's the difference between theory and reality. If you want the book's message in a nutshell, here's my take. Sex is like the 69th position. You get what you give. If you are selfish in bed, that negative energy will eventually burn you out and come back to you. But if you give someone genuine love, that's exactly what you will get in return. Because everything you give to others, you are ultimately giving to yourself. For many years, I came back to Tucson during summer vacations. But eventually, I stopped visiting. The last I heard, Pamela finally got her citizenship. At a concert, she met her boyfriend and moved to Memphis. Liz found a partner and had two beautiful children, while Victoria got plastic surgeries and moved to New York to pursue a career in fashion. We all went our separate paths, but I'm grateful for the memories and the incredible moments we shared. Life is fleeting, and friends and relationships come and go. but the love you give and receive is eternal. It'll always be there. In my next episode... Hello? Georgina, what are you thinking? About what? I replied, a little annoyed. About your life. Are you going to apply for university or not? It was my father on the phone. The question hung in the air, a verbal reality check I wasn't ready for. I fell silent, my carefree life flashing before my eyes. The silence stretched on. Yes, I finally answered, my voice small and hesitant. I will come back. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast and want to support the work I'm doing, please consider checking out my Patreon. You can find the link in the show notes. Your gratitude and support help me create more content you love. You can also follow me at Instagram at Gina Baruch Art. See you next week, and remember, you were born to shine.